Okay, Matt Westover, Mattwestover, Battalion Chief of Charlotte Fire Department. We are still operating in a rescue mode of operation at this point. We have changed some of what we're doing. We're getting more into a technical search just for reasons of the debris pile. We don't have any other information on victim count, anything new that we can report to you. So I'll take questions and try to answer them the best that I can.
What is that technical search pattern?
So it goes to the risk that our searchers encounter. So every time we remove debris, we change the load patterns in the structure. So in order for us to safely search void spaces inside these collapsed structures like this, we have to make sure that we're safe. So it really goes to a feat of engineering to be able to open these spaces up where our rescuers can get in there and clear those spaces out.
The adult male who was transported, has he given you any indication on just certain areas of the house that you might be needing to check?
I don't have any comment on any information that would be given that way.
Adult or a teenager?
I can't make any comment on that. Just that we have a methodical approach that we take when we approach situations like this, and we're going to ensure that we search all of the areas as thorough as we can search them to ensure that we account for all victims.
Can you at least say whether or not this person told someone else?
No, I won't say that.
Is there any indication that there's someone else in the house?
We're still operating in a rescue mode, so until we determine and get to a point where there's no longer anybody that we would consider to be viable, and then we would switch modes.
During your search, has there been any fatalities?
No, there have been no fatalities.
The person you got out, is it an adult or is it a teenager?
It is an adult.
Is this suspicious?
I can't make any comment. It's going to be under investigation, and the results of that investigation will take some time to come out.
It seems like the scene is clearing a little bit. Does that give indication that there's really not that many people you're still looking for? I mean, what does this mean that the scene is being cleared?
There's still a lot of work that has to be done. It's that fine work, though. It's to describe it as when we come in, there's a lot to move initially, and when we get down to really where the members of the structure have created void spaces, you just can't put that many personnel in that spot. So it's easier and healthier for us to maintain our folks from a rehab standpoint, to cut that back and be able to operate in a more methodical approach.
Can you tell us how many people are home?
I can't do that right now.
Can you tell us the circumstances and when we were hearing that they just got back from vacation and things like that? I mean, can you confirm
I'm not aware of the circumstances that were a precursor to what happened.
Can you talk about the extent of the damage?
The extent of the damage is that the house was leveled. I don't really know of a more accurate way to describe that. The building was standing. Whatever caused this explosion, the structure to collapse, it is completely devastated.
I mean, how far away is debris spread? Because it looks like there was debris like across the street.
So if we take the 5 properties that surround that, there was debris in some fashion in all of those properties. So we monitor our spaces before we send rescuers in there, and we've not had any indication of a hazardous environment that our rescuers would encounter.
Should other people in the neighborhood be concerned? Are they safe?
At this time, there's no cause for concerns in surrounding properties in the neighborhood.
Can you describe that monitoring that you do before you send people in? What is that?
Yeah, so we use gas monitors, and it really is just to monitor the air in that particular environment. So our rescuers and even those that we go to rescue are in a survivable atmosphere. We'll make sure there's enough oxygen in the environment, make sure there's not too much oxygen in the environment, make sure we don't encounter toxic gases, those types of things.
Is it just one home that was leveled, or was the one next door pictures seem really
So
blown out.
one completely devastated, and then we have significant damage on either side, and then we have damage across the street as well.
Do you have any sense of whether the explosion, did it come from within the home, or was there a source from?
I have no indication for that.
Just for clarity, could you elaborate briefly one more time on the changes to the rescue right now, on what your first responders are doing differently?
So it's more methodical at this point. We've gotten to, we have cleared the debris field enough that as we start to remove items from the debris that's left, is we want to make sure that that is stable and secure, that we don't cause another collapse in a void space where there could be somebody that we're trying to locate, or could be in a survivable fashion.
So it's going to be a little slower rescue, but that's because the safety of the first responders.
That's right. So, and I want to stress, when we say slower, we don't mean any less urgent. It just has to be, in that method, it has to be slower and more methodical, yeah.
So you're not using any heavy machinery?
No, sir. No heavy machinery is being used.
When do you expect this to be over, hours or?
I don't really have any idea.
What's your plan for like the next 24 hours?
So for the next 24 hours is once we clear the structure for any remaining victims or potential victims, then we'll drop back into an investigation mode, and then that'll take some time to figure out the cause of the incident.
Are you guys going to work through the night?
We will if we have to, yes.
Just based on what you've seen today and just recently, I mean, how confident are you that there could be other victims?
Again, we approach every incident, every structural collapse, every fire the same way. We have to assume, and we always assume, that there are people in these spaces until we can actually put eyes on them. So until we do that, we won't make any comment towards whether, we won't speculate about how many people could potentially be in there or not be in there until we actually see it with our own eyes.
You were saying you might work through the night. I mean, is that safe for, in the dark? I know you would bring out a lot of lights, but to be removing all that debris and being on top of it throughout the night, that could still happen?
It does increase the risk, and that's something that our search and rescue team is prepared for. Those are the things that we train for. They go through hundreds of hours of trainings in these specialized fields, and that's why they're here.
Chief, what's the biggest, as time goes on, what's the biggest threat to life if someone's still in there? Is it, the weight of the rubble? Is it not being able to breathe? What, in these types of situations, what tends to be the biggest threat?
There's a lot of things. If you go out and research and building collapses, I mean, it can be anything from, dehydration to traumatic injury. I mean, it runs the gamut of the types of injuries. I'll just take one more question. The fire marshal's office will handle the investigation, and then once they reach the end of that, then we'll update through Twitter and other means to make sure that the results of that investigation are released. So thank you. Appreciate your time.
Fire just